G'day guys, how you doing? And it's been actually a little while since I've been able to upload a video. A lot has been going on. First of all, I just want to thank everyone for those well wishes. For a period of time I did have COVID, and what a nasty disease I feel like that is. I didn't like it one bit. It affected me quite a bit, unfortunately, but we've come to the other side, recovered, and feeling much better, apart from a lingering cough still. That kind of sucks, but it is going away. So it doesn't mean that we cannot start doing some astrophotography. Now, the Skywatcher CQ350 has now been returned back to Skywatcher Australia, along with the Sprint 150. So I will no longer be using them. And what a joy it was to use that mount and that refractor telescope. It reminds me so much of how much more easy and simple it is to use a refractor telescope compared to a Celestron RASA. But that doesn't mean that I don't like Celestron RASAs. I love Celestron RASAs because I love imaging at f2. And there's a big difference between imaging at f2 compared to f5.9 or f7. Big difference. Shorter exposures. You don't have to worry too much about polar alignment with shorter exposures, and there are a lot of benefits of imaging f2, but there's a lot of benefits in imaging with a refractor. Some of those benefits are filter changing. You can simply get a filter changer and add that to the imaging train when it comes to mono imaging, or even RGB imaging these days with the filters like tri-band and L-enhanced filters. So yeah, that makes things a bit easy. With a RASA, it's not exactly as easy as it seems. If you do decide to go monochrome with a RASA and want to change filters, then you're going to be up all night, either changing filters, or you're going to be imaging all night and then maybe taking about 4 or 5 days to complete that image if you want to shoot one color or one or narrowband, or however you want to image with the RASA. It takes time, and that's one of those things that has its downfalls with everything when it comes to astrophotography. But you're probably wondering what's happened with the RASAs, because quite some time ago I mentioned the RASAs will be out of action. During that period I was able to use the Skywatcher gear. Thank you, Skywatcher Australia, for that. But now that's going interstate elsewhere, ready for the solar eclipse in Western Australia, which unfortunately I will not be part of. But yeah, it's going to look amazing, and I can't wait to see all the images that come out of it. Now, to my right, I have a RASA all set up, ready for tonight's imaging session. And you're about to find out what I've been up to. Well guys, there they are, RASA triplets. This is what I've been up to. So for everyone that thought I dropped a RASA, killed one of my RASAs, and the RASA twins died, no, they expanded. We now have RASA triplets. And one of the things that I am absolutely freaking out about is weight. So here we have 3 RASA 8s on a Celestron CGX mount. Now, for those that are already trying to calculate weights, here we go. the CGX, sorry, the CGXL, that's what I have, CGXL. So Celestron CGXL has a payload capacity of 34 kilos. Now, each one of these RASAs currently is just under, or sorry, is at about 9 kilos. Just, sorry, 9.5 kilos. Now, that means at this period in time, my 3D printed dew shields that I use with the centerpiece for my diffraction spikes, this here weighs a little over 450 grams. Now, I have reduced the amount of infill in my 3D printed dew shields. So it was up around about 900 grams, almost a kilo. Yes, so I've got it down to half that. I'm going to try and do some more weight saving with my dew shields, maybe make them a little bit thinner on the inside here, but overall it's not really going to reduce the amount of filament needed and the weight. So I'm not too sure how else I could probably get this lighter, but at this stage it's about 450 grams all up. Now, in terms of the rest of the setup, the bar here that I made up, which is all using Prima Loose Lab equipment, I've got a, I think it's a 750 mil or something bar as the major bar, and then underneath that I've got like about a 350 mil bar to support the weight of the RASAs here, so it's double barred across. And then I've got a 400 mil or 450 mil bar up the top here, running straight through the middle. So, and then I've got spacers on each dovetail plate, because the dovetail plates were obviously hitting the dovetail bar, so I couldn't do up the knobs so that way the RASAs were in nice and seated, because the whole thing needs to come apart. At this stage, this is not exactly travel safe, maybe I should say. It definitely should be in an observatory built setup, but right now I can't do that because my house is currently being built. The foundations are finally down, but I can't exactly build an observatory there until the house is built. So I'm going to be doing a fair bit of setting up and dismantling of the RASA triplets now. So right now we are at about 40 kilos for a mount that's rated at 34 kilos. Mind you, it is balanced really well. There is not a lot of weight, really, feels like, compared to the RASA twins. In fact, the whole thing feels better balanced than when I had the RASA twins, to be honest. So yeah, we're really going to be testing the strength of the CGXL, just how underrated I guess it is. But thankfully for a RASA, you don't need really long exposures, so we're going to be pretty good there. Now, tonight is a test night, that's right, we have clear skies. So we're going to be testing this, so all the cables are just sort of hanging down, nothing too special going on there. The computer, we're going to be pushing the computer to its limits because it's the base model Eagle 4 computer. So it doesn't have a lot of processing power, even though I've added an extra 4 gig of RAM to it, so it's about 8 gig RAM. We've got 3 cameras sending its data through an Intel Celeron chip. And then all that data is then feeding through to a USB 3 memory stick. So feeding all that data through, I'm hoping that I can do all that, then do a dither with each frame, and by the time the dither's completed, all the data's been gone through and it's ready to start capturing again, so nothing really banks up there. Now, what else do we have to test tonight, or adjust? And that is the beta FCCT filter holders, because we've got 3 now running. I've had to install another one, so we're just going to have to slightly adjust that one while we've got some stars out, and I'm also going to have to adjust the angle of the 2 outer RASAs, so that way they're honed in, so that way we're all targeted in on a single point. So there's going to be a bit of messing about tonight to get this all going, but hopefully it doesn't take too long. I'd be happy if it's all done in about an hour, and then we can image. Now, when it comes to the image possibly for tonight, it's going to be something fairly simple, something easy, something I've imaged 100 times before, and I'm probably leaning maybe towards either Carina or maybe the Tarantula Nebula. We'll see where they're roughly positioned tonight. I want something that's going to be fairly, something I can sort of look over the data and see what sort of defects. There's no point photographing something I've never photographed before. So we're going to go with something we have photographed before. Okay guys, to give you an idea on what we're up to right now, I've polar aligned the telescope. I have aligned the cameras up, however there is flex in the bar, and I can see that from the position of the 2 end RASAs and where they're positioning. So the 2 end RASAs are pretty much aligned with each other into the same point as the central one, except for there is a slight difference of the star being a little bit higher on the both end RASAs than what it is in the central one. So meaning that there is some flex in the actual bar itself. I will have to maybe try and work out how I'm going to fix that in the future. However, right now we have something sort of going, so we know that there's some flex in the bar. So it's the next thing we've got to look at, maybe trying to fix a bit later on down the path. Whether I can strengthen up that bar even more, we'll look at doing that. But right now we've got that part done. So now I'm going to work on the adjustment of the beta camera tilt for the main RASA, because the original RASA's twins that I've been using there are already adjusted and they still seem fine. So it's just the first one we're going to work on right now. Alright guys, so we've just finished the tilt process on the what's now going to be the main RASA. Just to give you a little bit of an update, the main RASA is also using as the Celestron focus motor. So I've got the 2 ZWOs on the outside and my Celestron focus motor on the inside, the main one. That's just running through the CPWI ASCOM software. So therefore I free up a power cable, and just using the auxiliary cable is enough to power that focus motor. So yeah, I don't have a lot of room for more USB cables and power and so on. We're sort of pushing things to the max here. So all I've got left to do now, okay, is switch the filters over now to the RGB filters, because that's what we're going to start with, and then we're going to move to our target, and I'm going to do an imaging session on that using Unity again. I'm using all QHY294M cameras, and once I finish that imaging session, we're going to switch it over to the Luminance Luminance O3 and HA. Every filter I'm using is better CMOS optimized, and the HA and O3 are the F2 narrowband high speed filters. So let's get imaging the first triplet RASA image of the night. Well guys, what a night of imaging. No words can really express what it was like to image with the triplets. I mean, look at the size of this setup. It's crazy. I cannot stop the grin off my face right now. I do apologize. I really hope that this doesn't bring all of you guys clouds. So what happened last night? Well, there were some glitches throughout the night. I only imaged an hour imaging session with the RGB filters, and an hour imaging session with the HA luminance and O3. That gave me a total of about 2.8 hours of total data. So we almost got an extra hour of data over the 2-hour period, but the reason we didn't is because I dither every frame. Now the dithering every frame, a 30-second exposure, you can imagine how much time that wastes, quite a bit. So I am thinking about upping that dither time. However, in the past I have had issues with walking noise if I didn't dither every frame. Again, that was using a zero gain. I'm using Unity gain, which is 1600 for the QHY294Ms. So I'm hoping that with using Unity gain, I can increase those frames between dither just a little bit more, maybe 2, maybe 3, and then hopefully that will be okay. It will give me a slightly better. It will increase the amount of subs I capture, rather than dithering every frame and losing that time between synchronization and all that. So yeah, the other issue I had was the synchronization side of things. So having 3 instances of Nina open, I completely forgot that my secondary instance was also connected up to the mount. So there was conflict going on between the primary imaging setup or instance of Nina and the secondary and the second RASA that was connected to the mount as well. So I had 2 instances connected to the mount, and they were sort of going, no, I'm going to be the leader of dithering. No, I'm going to be the leader of dithering. And it caused a few sort of hang-ups a little bit there, as well as a couple of things earlier in the night. So I had to restart the system a couple of times, because I also had to drop out with the guiding as well with the camera. So I wasn't too sure whether or not all this data plus the guide scope going through the base version of the Eagle 4 computer, if it's got enough computing power for that. Time will tell, but at this stage I was just able to download a exposure from this, and it will dither, and then it was able to download to the USB stick. So that's going to be interesting to see what sort of hold-ups are in the system if I increase the dithers to like 2 or 3, whether or not there is enough time to download all that data to the USB stick. We will see. But yeah, pretty cool night. Just stacking all the images at the moment. I'm not doing any flat frames. I'm not doing any dark frames or anything like that. It's just a quick stack just to see how this whole thing's gone. Yeah, I'm pretty excited still to see. I'm pretty sure I'm going to see maybe a little bit of amp glow in the image, because the 294 is known for that. However, the QHY is a lot better in amp glow compared to the ZWO. Know that for a fact. Yeah, pretty happy. So yeah, I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. It's been a little while. But I'm glad to be making these videos again, and I hope to see you next time. If this is the first video you've seen of mine, please check out some of my others. If you enjoy them, don't forget to give me a big thumbs up and subscribe. Alright guys, that's it for me and the triplets. So until next time, take it easy. See you.